Hi guys, welcome to my channel. First time viewers, always welcome. I'll be discussing how hard it was to resole my Doc Marten dress shoes. What I have here is a Doc Marten dress shoe. It's saddle leather, they call it rough out. And you treat it just like nubuck, so you spray it down with silicone spray, keep it from staining. And I added some bling to it because it was so bland. And matching laces to the Vibram 171C sole that I decided to go with. And it is their casual sole. It's not an industrial sole at all. It comes in white, brown, amber, and thread. I think I got all of it there. Yeah. All right. So this guy, cobblers absolutely hate Doc Marten dress shoes because they're quite loose and clunky, and sometimes they ride on your ankle here. But that's not a big deal because if you're not familiar with Doc Martens, they're supposed to be worn with inserts. So if you just don't have an insert in your Doc Marten, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable for you. So you might want to put something in there. And it's designed to be a work shoe that acts like a standing mat. So what you end up having is a squishy sole, with foam padding in choice places. And then you have typically a gum sole, which is squishy and hollow, and to lighten the weight of the gum sole, which tends to be quite heavy, because this Vibram sole is quite light compared to what was on there. It had a pad on the back, just like this, and then it had one on the front. And inside there was foam. And the foam extended up into this leather, figure 8 shaped leather. So, so around here, it looped around, and around here it looped around a centerpiece. And there was foam here, and there was foam here. This extended into the heel cup. And what happened was, after walking in these things, after a while, the glue gave out and it started to float around on that sole, on that composite sole, composite hybrid, if you will. So being that that is an extreme stress place, I added drywall screws that I cut down because I didn't have hobnails. And I sanded the sole after I had cut down the foam with a bread knife, and I used barge contact cement, when everything was flat and level, and I used it on the Vibram sole after I had found out where the center of the Vibram hollow pocket was inside the sole to where my foot would be, and then I traced it out, and then I glued the Vibram sole with barge, and I kept the two separate until it was almost dry. And then I applied the two together, and then I ended up with an incredible bond. Barge is pretty tough stuff. And then I got myself a router table, and I used this bit right here. It's got a bearing roller on it. I just traced a welt, and didn't have to do any sanding around here. And there you have it. But you could tell there's some bit biting into the leather and the perimeter of the sole. So, when you router this top part, you'll see it kind of flange out down here. And then you got to then do this part of it. So you have to adjust your table until you get it where it looks right. And this is good enough for me. And yeah, you could tell the bit kind of skidded a little bit there. But you always want to save this little bit here because you don't want to reduce your welts. You want to keep your welts just how they are, even if the glue-on sole doesn't even go that far out. Because once that's gone, it's going to be really expensive to put it back and more time-consuming. But all you really have to do is just sand down the old sole, or what's left of it, and leave the welt attached to, whatever it is. And then you just use barge contact cement on that, and then you use it on your Vibram sole, and you find out where the center of your foot is to the pocket inside the Vibram sole, and then you trace it out before you glue it, and then you let that almost dry, and then you bring the two halves together. You end up with a really strong bond. And make sure you tack your heel down with something, and you're good to go. It really wasn't that complicated, but you can do it too. Got absolute faith in you. If you have a router table and then you got some barge contact cement, but you'd have to use a different contact cement though for the welt. If this welt were to split, and keep in mind too, if you apply heat to your shoes and your shoes are made in Asia, those Asian countries, they might actually use a glue that's animal-based product. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But the animals are already dead when they make this glue. And this glue is heat active. And it comes from like proteins and collagens and things like that. And so it heat releases. And you could apply heat and then clamp it and reestablish the bond when it cools. It's kind of how old furniture was made in the 1800s. But animal products typically aren't used here in the the western part of the world, I don't believe, for making shoes. There's a lot of people that are like even against leather shoes for some strange reason. They think it's inhumane. But to each his own. But for the purpose of my video is you don't want to be heating up your shoes if you really like your shoes, because they can fall apart on you. I know a lot of videos, they show people doing this to get rid of tight spots. Very bad idea. You shouldn't be applying any kind of extreme heat to your footwear because they can fall apart. All right, so if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll put more content out there. I do other videos besides shoes, so you might find something to your liking. Just feel free to peruse around and like and subscribe. I'll catch you on my next video.